Okay, Andrew. Now you've been in the game 2 decades now, so you've obviously done well because you wouldn't have any customers left. A lot of people that I've spoken to that are successful backing horses mainly have said that nothing stays the same. They've always got to keep evolving. What worked 2 or 3 years ago probably doesn't work now, and you have to keep finding an extra edge. Have you found that similar scenario with what you've been doing?
Yeah, very much so. You know, what was a huge edge with sectional timings, for example, 15 years ago, that's not the obvious edges from that perspective aren't there anymore, but they're still there if you're prepared to dig in, a bit deeper, put the extra work into it. There's an instance on New Year's Day, for example, a horse of Harry Fry's ran called, I think it was Captain Drake. And he'd run on the same card at Exeter previously to a horse he was competing with on New Year's Day. And they were a similar sort of price New Year's Day in the morning. But when you looked at the sectionals, Captain Drake, who he'd unseated his rider 2 out, he sprawled on landing that day. And the other horse had run in a separate race on the same card. And if you look at their performance to 2 out, Captain Drake was about 15, 20 lengths better. And yet, morning of this race, they wanted to make them the same sort of price. Now, they don't all work out like that, but that's an example as where perhaps not looking for the obvious, as it was 15 years ago, that there's still very much the odd diamond to be found.
Talking of diamonds to be found, you've also had a bit of sports betting, done a bit of dabble in sports betting, or did. Now, you backed Paul Hunter at 66-1 to win the Welsh Snooker Open.
I did.
Are you Paul Hunter's mate, or how did you come up with that?
The much missed Paul Hunter. Yeah, no, that's when I first started betting seriously, if you like. And I used to watch and bet on a lot of snooker at the time, and I'd followed his progress. And just the Welsh Open was very local. I used to go and watch a lot of that in Newport at the time. He was just massively overpriced, and I remember I had tickets for the final session of the final, and we'd been point to point in somewhere over in Larkhill, I think it was, and got back into Newport, and I think he was 5-3 up, and watched the whole thing and evolve around me then, and he ended up winning 9-6, 9-7. So yeah, that was a nice win. It gave me a big confidence boost as well, a financial boost at the time as well, to kick on and carry on doing what I was doing.
Okay, so is sports betting a part of your portfolio these days?
On my own betting, personally, no, very, very little. But we do run a sports service through Optimum. I've got a very good judge who runs that for me, specialises in cricket, football, the odd other sport as well. So I leave that all to him. He's much more equipped to make a profit on that than I am.
Okay, we're going to go into your ownership stuff in a minute. But what would you say? What's the worst part about your chosen profession as a paid tipster?
Yeah, I guess the worst part is losing runs, because whilst I'm thick-skinned enough now, and I know it's part and parcel of the game. It's going to happen when you're taking on clients. Certainly when you're taking on new clients, and maybe the first 2 or 3 get beat, that brings added pressure. And I think the pressure brought along by a losing run is still probably the worst part of it.
Okay, now you've apart from the Optimum Tipping advisory service, you've also got Optimum Ownership, which you've had some success with.
Yeah,
about that.
Yeah, we've had huge success over the years with that. I owned horses myself going back from 2001. I guess, and we had success with the very first horse. We bought a horse called Dat My Horse, who won 3 over hurdles for us, gave us a day out at Royal Ascot, and as I say, had a good initial success with that. So when I went on my own, I worked with Mark Holder between 2004 2006, and then went back on my own with Optimum Racing on the back of that. And one of the things I wanted to do was to run a syndicate. And the very first one we bought there, a horse called City Affair, and he won his first 3. We then had Little Shilling, who was a remarkable horse, paid about less than £5,000 for him, 4.8 I think it was. And he managed to win 6 races in just over a month. It was quite incredible. So yeah, we've had many other multiple winners throughout the syndicate as well. So it's a lot of fun.
So when did you decide to sort of run the syndicates? I mean, and who picks the horses?
I tend to pick them from a form perspective, but whenever I've bought one, I've always taken someone with me who knows about the horse itself, because I wouldn't know if that horse was lame as a cat or not, and so I will do a lot of groundwork first, from the form, but make sure I've got an expert judge with me.
Okay, were you surprised about the realities of owning a racehorse? It sounds like you've been quite lucky. I mean, I think a lot of people imagine if you own a racehorse, you know exactly when it's going to win, exactly when it's not going to win, and all that sort of thing. I mean, what are the actual realities apart from the extremely expensive nature of that hobby?
Well, we've had a lot of luck. We've had a lot of bad luck with injuries and fatalities along the way as well. It hasn't all been a bed of roses, but no, nothing overly surprised me. I went in with my eyes open. I was warned it wasn't going to be cheap, and even though we had a lot of success early on, that's why I was keen then to run it as a syndicate, to split the cost, because it is a very expensive hobby to get into.
So did you run the syndicate as a business concern? Is it to sort of try and make a bit of money, or is it to just cover your expenses, or how does it work?
Yeah, I run it on a non-profit basis, and it's there really to hopefully boost the company's image. When we had the likes of Little Shillin running at Cheltenham Festival and winning 6 races on the bounce, that was very much, it's all plus as far as the company's concerned. So, and it's really exclusive for members of Optimum Racing. So it's just part of the business, but it's a non-profit part of the business.
Okay, has owning a horse or horses proved profitable as punting goes, knowing exactly when they're fit? You don't have to. The guesswork is taken out of your own one. So have you profited back in your own horses?
Yeah, we've got it right more often than we got it wrong. But again, they don't all win. But over the years, we've had some good touches. Little Shilling was one of the first, as I say, with the syndicate, and I remember. We paid 4.8, I think it was, for him, just to buy a horse to try and win a Seller. Tim Vaughan trained it for me, and I'd found this one race and the horse wasn't quite right, and then we found a Seller at Fakenham. I remember ringing up Tim just before the sort of declaration stage, and I said, "Is everything okay?" He said, "I'm not sure, what's wrong now?" He said, "Well, this horse is too good for a Seller, Andrew." I thought, "Don't worry about that. You just get him there 100% fit, and we'll worry about the rest." And that was the first of his 6 wins. And thankfully, there was no bid for him at all on the day either. So it was a very, very good day.
That must be quite nice when a trainer tells you that. Why Tim Vaughan?
Why Tim Vaughan? Good question. Well, it came by chance how I met Tim. First of all, it was in the days when I had a couple of pointers. And Christian Williams' dad, Rob Williams, trained them for me in Ogmore, where Christian's based now. And Christian was due to run a mare of mine, I think it was Dolby Carr, we had running down at Kilwendeg in West Wales. So we turned up, and just sort of half an hour before the race, I go out to the notice board to see what we're up against. And as I'm writing down the runners, out comes this tall lad in my silks. I thought, well, that's not Christian. It turned out it was Tim. Now, Christian, he was due to ride. Obviously, his dad trained the horse. And Rob said to me then, he said, "Oh no, Christian's he's misbehaved a bit last few days." He said, "So I stopped him from riding any of my horses." I thought, "Oh, great, thanks, Rob." And so that's how I met Tim. And as the race turned out, he actually, although Christian was bad from riding his dad's horses for the day, he was on the second favourite against us, but we managed to beat him by about 2 lengths. And that was how I met Tim. And at the time, or maybe just shortly after that, he had one horse he trained himself for points, a horse called Robo Star, who the last time I saw it was trained by Pat Murphy, and Pat was at the start at Worcester with a long tom trying to get the damn thing to move. I thought, well, if Tim can win a point with this, which he did, you know, I think he might be the one to send one to, and that's how it all started. And I was the first person ever to send Tim a horse.
Because how many, do you know off your head how many winners you've had?
For the syndicate, I think we've had 27, 28, and I had a fair few more of that before the syndicate when I was in my own name. Yeah.
Okay, so how far would you like your ownership to go?
It's something at the moment we've only got the one horse, but I am looking to get another one in the next month or so. And I see it as something I'd like to develop again in the future. Yeah, but I think you've got to wait. You've got to get the right horse. There's no point just going out and buying one for the sake of it. But yeah, if we can drum up enough interest, it's part of the business I would like to grow, because it's just so much fun. You know, and it's a cheap way for people to get involved.
Okay, so finally, what does the future hold for you? Where would you like to see yourself in 10 years' time?
As long as I'm still here in 10 years' time, that would be a start. But no, I think certainly for the next 4 or 5 years, my emphasis is on optimum racing. I'd love to keep pushing that forward. After that, who knows? Maybe I'll still be kicking around doing the same thing, or maybe I would have gone more, you know, the punting route off my own back again. But one way or other, I think I'll certainly still be in racing, hopefully.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Andrew. We look forward to seeing that all pans out, and thanks very much for the interview.
Pleasure. Thank you.